Good morning. We're live on X. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Rumble. About to be live on Rockfin. Good late evening, party animals in the West Coast. As soon as this little red clickable button on Rockfin goes live, we're going to start this party off. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a different location today. I was supposed to start a while ago, but I've been hindered by technical difficulty after technical difficulty. And once I figured out all of the technical problems, I went to start, and then for some reason the internet didn't work for a few minutes. Because why not? But now that it's up and running, and hopefully it continues to run, we will do a show. Unfortunately, because of the setup that I have right now, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to respond to comments. I do need to make sure that the audio is working, though. That would suck if it wasn't. It appears to be working, so that's good. Okay, let's dive in. There is some stuff I want to talk about this morning. The Joy Bus, Mute the News, and Gaslight Me Harder, Please. This is Propaganda Report. I am Brad Binkley. As I said, I am in a new or different location today, and because other people are in the house where I am sleeping in this room, sound carries, probably won't get as animated as I sometimes do, because I don't want to wake people up who are not ready to be woken. A quick announcement, though. Later this evening, 8:30 p.m., I will be back in my studio, and Ian and I will be joined by Jake of Liberty Libations, and we will be talking about a couple of things that, one of them I know will interest most of you, because it deals with a really good-looking chick. The other interests a lot of you, and that is the Bitcoin conference. We're going to be playing some clips of some interviews that we did and talking about our experiences there. And we're also going to be talking about what happened when Jake and I went down to Georgia Tech this past weekend after their big win against Florida State, and we spoke to some students there right after the win, fresh off the slip and slides and the beer funnels, and asked them Trump or Kamala. And for you libertarians out there, you libertarian men and conservative men really, but specifically you libertarian men, we're going to introduce you to a chick that you are going to fall madly in love with. And I'm not exaggerating. It's like the Hulk to a girl for libertarians. And by that, I mean a good-looking chick who knows all about econ and says all of the things that you guys love. I mean, we loved it. All right. So let's dive in. Be sure and tune into that. First story I want to talk about today. Kamala and Tim Walz are going to be here in Georgia doing I just sound like Doug Emhoff. They're they're like infecting us with that voice he does. They're going to be here, not Emhoff, but Walz and Kamala doing a bus tour, and this bus tour is going to be going through the Joy Bus, I imagine it's called. Going to be spreading joy through South Georgia starting on Wednesday morning, and the tour will end on Thursday evening in Savannah with Kamala doing a joyful speech, I imagine, or a rally. Where will they be stopping on this tour along the way? What is South Georgia? I mean, South Georgia could be just, the lower 49% of Georgia. Well, no one knows except for the people who they send the invitations to, the vetted people, the controlled audience, who gets Kamala's invitations and even is made aware of specifically when and where she is going to be. They don't want anyone at her rallies who will give an honest opinion of what's going on and just how enthusiastic the people there are. I've talked about this a lot. I've been trying to go to one of her rallies. She spent a lot of time in Georgia, and they're not easy to find the information on because they don't give them to anyone who's not already in their little club, who's going to do what they want them to do. But I think I realized yesterday, actually, something I should have probably recognized sooner, that a good way to get into their little club and find out when and where, specifically the address, because we don't find out unless you're in that you're one of the vetted Democrats that they know and the locale they're going to. You don't find out about where her rally actually was or the bus actually stopped until shortly before, if you're looking for it, like me, or until afterwards when you see it on the news, where it's like, Kamala Harris stopped in Gwinnett County today. And it's like, holy cow, that's like right down the street from where I just was. How didn't I know about that? Because they didn't want you to know about it unless you're in that club. And I think the way to get in that club is very obvious, is you donate to her campaign. I don't think it would be as easy as giving like $5 or something like that. I think you might have to give more, but what woke me up to this very obvious thing now that I think about it is a text message that I got from Kamala's team. I get endless text messages from Kamala, some from Trump, but it's a spam inbox of text messages. My own text messages get drowned out with Kamala and Tim trying to get me to join a creepy throuple. I'm not doing it. But I got a text message that said, well, first of all, it had this creepy, weird, I can't say weird, I hate that word now, strange, bestie selfie photo. That's what they do with all the Kamala thing. You go look at the ads they have on her site. You go look at some of the TV ads they do, some of the billboard ads, some of the side of the bus ads. They're all of Kamala and Tim, like they're just hanging out in the green room, or they're two besties who are just, we just got done partying. Look at us, let's take a selfie. This is the weirdest couple since Kamala and Doug Emhoff. I just said weird again. They ruin everything, and that word is so common. I am trying to scrub it from my vocabulary, but I can't. I will. It is my hope to never use that word again and find a good replacement. Maybe I'll make one up. Maybe Kamala. We should just make Kamala the new word for weird. That's really Kamala. Oh, bro, super Kamala, dude. I think that can work. Let's get Kamala tonight. Yeah, I'm going to start, instead of weird, I'm going to start using Kamala, which will probably be confusing. But they use they for a gender pronoun. So what's wrong with this confusion? Back to the point at hand. The text banking message that I got was a Kamala picture of them, of Kamala and Tim Waltz. Like they're sitting in a green room and they're like, hey, at least the text message said, hey, want to get your photo taken with Kamala and Tim? No, I do not. I do not want to get my photo taken with Kamala and Tim. I would actually hate if I had my photo taken with Kamala and Tim. Are there people sitting around going, man, if only I could get my photo taken with Kamala and Tim, I would feel fulfilled in my life? I imagine there are, otherwise they wouldn't be doing this because it must be working. You have to be so delusional, I believe, to look at those two and think this is a genuine friendship. It's all so scripted and orchestrated. I don't like Tim or JD Vance. At least we're not getting, selfie shots of Trump and JD Vance pretending to be besties, okay? Because nobody would believe that. Trump and JD Vance chilling in a green room. JD Vance has his legs kicked up on Trump's, knees, and they're just got their, it doesn't make any sense. It's not real. I'm right earplugs in the wrong ears. It might be. Hold on. I told you I got a lot of. This is a really makeshift mic here. Everything I got going on right now is makeshift. So this is how you got to do it when you're not Jake Tapper and have all the resources of CNN. I would love to see. It would be funny, actually, if Trump and Vance started mocking Kamala and Tim and started sending text banking messages of them doing the exact same photos that Kamala and Tim are doing. I'm trying to find one now. I can't. I'm using my phone for the camera. I can't. Yeah, I would show you one, but I can't. Tomorrow I'll show you one, or later today. Okay, or tomorrow, whenever. All right, let's get in. So my point is, sorry, I'm distracted by my technical disadvantages today. For me, the ultimate quest for a podcaster, I know a lot of people, it's a perfect audio. But for me, it's the perfect screen setup. It's the perfect monitor here, monitor there. People I'm talking to here. Notes or websites I need there. Everything just easily accessible because you don't have a producer. The value of a producer, I believe, is undervalued. I've been a producer before, and producers do so much work. Those who are the talent, as they say, so that some call themselves, if they've never done the producing job, they don't realize how much work producers do. It's a job and a half, and when you do both of them, you really appreciate when you have a producer because it takes such a workload off. That's neither here nor there. My freaking earplugs keep falling out because these are awful. This is ridiculous. It's very unprofessional, and I apologize. The very unprofessional earplugs. That was one of the technical problems I was having before starting the show. I went to go start it, and I realized I don't have my headphones. So I had to go scrounge around and find headphones without making the multiple dogs upstairs bark. Dogs that every time the wind blows outside, it's on. It's on. No leaf is coming near this house again. It'll scare every leaf away. And I did. I was able to find earphones. What's up, Noble? The Joy Bus, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Noble. I apologize for the technical difficulties. If they don't call it the Joy Bus or the Joy Tour at some point, I'd be very surprised. Everything's joy. They're spreading joy. They're going to go to Savannah. You know what I bet they do? I bet they don't go to the low-income parts of Savannah. I bet they go to the very beautiful parts of Savannah. Thank you, sir. Okay, so, yeah, I said no. I had to pay money because back to the story I started 30 minutes ago, whenever. Got the text message with a weird bestie selfie from Kamala and Tim. Hey, want to get your picture with Tim and Kamala? No, I don't. And it said, if you want them to stop by where you are, and I'm in Georgia, and this text came right at the same time. They're going to be doing the Joy Bus through Georgia. So it's very, they do it regionally, these text messages. And it said, well, if you donate this amount, you click this link and you donate this, then you can have your photo. You can get Kamala and Tim will take a photo with you. And I think if I clicked on that link and if I donated the minimum amount, I think I would be sent an address and a location that tells me where I can go and be a part of what will be a very controlled photo op. Very controlled. There's no doubt about that. Made to look like there's a bunch of people around and we're all kicking it in the green room, all got our legs up on each other's knees. We're besties. That's how I got to find out what the addresses are. I almost did it. I almost clicked on it and donated to the Kamala Harris Tim Walz campaign, but I didn't. I couldn't do it. I was trying to juggle. I was like, it would be fantastic to show up to one of these bus tours and go undercover and just pretend to be one of them. It would be great. I'd get great footage, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't break myself to donate to Kamala Harris's campaign. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe they'll persuade me. Maybe they'll send me a shower photo. Wouldn't surprise me if they sent one, though. I'd love to see Trump and Vance send one where they're in the shower together with their arms around each other. And it's like, it's time to clean up this country. Want to shower with Trump and Vance? All right, moving on. They should just, they need to do that. They need to mock Kamala, and it's so bad. I don't know how anybody believes. People just have to be so lost. And that's really what it is, I think. People who are buying into the messaging that the Democrats are using anyway have to be so lost in their life. Because it's so try hard, and it's so, come be a part of our club, Mr. and Mr. They Pink Hair. Come here, Mr. Beta Low T Male. You're an alpha in our club. I mean, that's the messaging. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm going to point to a story later about that. It's smart. I mean, it's very smart. It goes back to the whole thing. Everybody accuses the other side of, you associated with racists, you associated with communists and racists, whatever. Every politician secretly wants the racist and the worst people and the communists and all of them to vote for them. They want those votes. Nobody's turning down the Nazi vote. They just don't want them to say they're the Nazi vote. Now, who the Nazis vote for, we don't know. Hopefully they're not here. There's like 2 Nazis here. We have like 2 Nazis in America. Oh, I like that. How did you do that, Noble, in the comments? You made that's like a flag, right? It's like a pilot flag, like emoji you made. That's cool. I'll put it on the screen. I don't know how to do any of the cool. People always put these cool things in the comments. I don't know how to make any of the cool images that people make. All right. So moving on from that, let's go to Kamala. Let's go. So I saw this. I hate stuff like this because it's so. To me, this is like watching the movie 1984 or thinking back or looking at old propaganda posters. I saw this, what is essentially a propaganda poster going around on X, and I'm sure other platforms, probably on the side of buses and trash cans, probably in the stall of men's bathrooms, I'm sure, with Kamala's phone number on it. Is this photo propaganda ad of Kamala? It's on screen right there. Look at that. Let me describe it for you guys. Where did my freaking thing go here? Jeez Louise. All right. So what you see in this image is Kamala looking upward with joy. With joy. And then you see next to her, so it's a print ad is what it is. You have the image and you have the copy. And the image is Kamala looking up, joyful. And then you have at the top, freedom. She is abhorrent. You're right, Noble. Freedom, period. That's the first thing it says. Freedom. Freedom. What is this, Braveheart? Opportunity, period. In bold. Freedom, period. Opportunity, period. And then it says, these are common sense American values. And then it says, Kamala Harris is the only candidate defending our common values. Register Democrats at fieldteamg.org. What message did those words deliver? What actual content or substance were delivered through these words? The reason they use freedom and opportunity without a contextual definition, because everybody's got a different definition of what that means, is because everybody's got a different definitional expectation of what that means. If Kamala were to define concretely, in practical terms, what she means by freedom and opportunity, that would eliminate a substantial portion. It would alienate them, as they say, because they go, wait a minute, that's not what I thought freedom was. That's not what I thought opportunity was. I thought it was this. Because you have the freedom to do versus the freedom not to feel a certain way. The freedom of speech versus the freedom to not be offended. Those are two opposite things, which is why they just put freedom and opportunity. These are not Americans' common values at all. Those are empty words without context. It's the definition and the practical implications of those concrete definitions with examples that illustrates our values. Now, many of us believe, me included, that freedom includes freedom of speech, freedom to say whatever, over freedom to not be offended. The freedom to not be offended is not a free country. The freedom to not be offended is a country where those who get offended by everything, like they've been conditioned to do, are in control of everything. So the people who have decided that their identity is victim control everything by being offended by what others believe to be their freedoms. This is textbook glittering generality propaganda. This might as well be in the World War II propaganda museum with all the other posters. And this fits perfectly with Kamala's campaign. She has said nothing specific. She's done no interviews, and she's rarely, if ever, gone off script. And they are telling her not to. Quentin Tarantino even came out and said, "Don't go off script." I probably said the N-word like 3 times. Don't you love that? Don't you love a guy who always makes sure to put the hard R in his movies, is coming out and saying, "Shut up, Kamala. Just shut up until you get elected. Don't do anything. Keep doing nothing." I mean, that is like Van Jones is saying, "Nah, it's great. She needs to do nothing still." And I'm not saying it's not a good strategy. It is, because Kamala is not good when she is off script at all. She's drunk. She's drunk when she's off script. Probably sometimes when she's on script. Nobody kills a bottle of wine like Kamala. Kamala might kill millions in World War III, but not as many people as she will bottles of wine. She's probably fine at a party, okay? All right? I bet there's dozens of people, and excuse me for the vulgarity, who have woken up in the middle of the night with Kamala sucking them off. They've been like, "Whoa, get out of my house." Freedom. Yeah, right. Yes. So the ads like this, it's so insulting to people's intelligence, you know? I look at that and I wonder, like, who is this for? Who is looking at that and saying, yeah, that connects with me? Freedom, opportunity. As though the other campaign isn't saying the same thing. I mean, who's not running on freedom and opportunity? I mean, the implication here is that the other side is like, not anti-freedom, anti-opportunity, vote for us. That's the implication here. It's just so stupid. But they appeal to the youngest and the dumbest among us. Enough of that. All right. Bye-bye, Kamala. Noble says, basement dwelling like Biden, it's astonishing that people will vote for her. We walk amongst idiots and fools. They want us to believe that people are voting for her. And there are going to be some, obviously. I understand how she appeals to black women. I get that. She's not African American, but look, she can play the role of someone who's, I worked at McDonald's and had to work my way through my HBCU college, and girl, I'm in Alpha Kappa Alpha or whatever it's called. I'm in the Divine Nine Black Freemasons, just like all of you. Literally every black woman that I've encountered in the media, including one in an interview I'm about to show you, and one who's moderating the debate, and everybody in Fulton County, Georgia, basically. It's like the home of the Divine Nine. They're all black Freemasons, but that's what they call themselves. But the way that Kamala presents herself, the brat, I can see how that appeals to black women. I don't care if people like Kamala. I don't care if they vote for her. I just don't like the repeating of the propaganda, and I don't like the insistence of racism and just the being brainwashed by identity politics, which tears the country apart, as opposed to if somebody talked to me, and I did talk to people this weekend at Georgia Tech who supported Kamala, but they were very open-minded. They were not accusing anybody of anything. It was very different than what they portray in the media. That's fine with me. That's fine, as long as you're not buying into the divisive identity politics, which will destroy this country, then I'm cool with it. Like, I don't care if people vote for it. Just be cool to people. Noble says, even her own father said she's not black. Yeah, right. Yeah. She's not African-American. That's definitely a provable fact. And apparently you can't actually point that out. Otherwise, even if you're black and you point that out, you're like a white nationalist. It's crazy. You would think people would wake up to that tactic of when you say something true that they don't want people to know is true, that they just call you a racist or a misogynist or whatever else, or carrying Putin's water. You would think people would wake up to that silencing tactic. There's ad hominem attacks, but now it's like, oh, no, that must be right. It must be racist to point out something that's actually truthful. The news did do something interesting today, extraordinary yesterday, and into this morning, and I'm assuming it's going to continue. It's been like 36 straight hours, actually. It's very, very impressive. 36 straight hours, they have been talking nonstop about whether or not the microphones are going to be on and off at the debate again. Didn't we do this already? Didn't we already have the debate rules, mic on off thing? Didn't CNN already do multiple videos on check out our new technology on this microphone? You see here, and they had the demonstration where the douche went up to the mic and the douche went up to the other mic, and one douche was like, I'm talking right now, but in a second it's going to cut my mic off, and then the other guy's like, and I can't even hear that douche talking. Didn't we see all of this already? We did, but extraordinarily, we're doing a whole nother couple of days of round-the-clock news about debate rules and whether or not the microphone's going to be on or off. Except this time, here's the twist. It's reversed. This time, the Democrats who demanded the mics be off the first time, they now want them on. And Trump's team, even if Trump says he doesn't care, I don't care, they want it off. Whoa! So we're literally the exact same story. We're just flipping it around. And the flip around is part of the story where it's like, why do the Democrats suddenly want it on? Why does Trump's team want it off? If we take it at face value, it's very obvious. Kamala only wins a debate if she can snap back when she's interrupted. That's obvious. That's not a unique insight. That's very obvious. That's what she's famous for in her debate against Mike Pence. She has nothing to say. We saw what happened when she debated a female, Tulsi Gabbard. She's not good at that. She's not a good lawyer. She's not a good arguer. She's good at being portrayed as the victim of a white male, of oppressed. And that's the optics for that are perfect. If I were on Kamala's team, I'd be like, we need those mics on, because if Trump sneezes, she can say, I'm talking. Are you going to let me finish? He could be choking. He could put a peanut in his mouth and get stuck in his throat, and he could be dying, trying to get that peanut out of his chest. And Kamala would be like, I'm talking. Are you trying to die right now? I'm talking. You trying to die right now when I'm talking. And you trying to die. This is what I'm talking about in this country with white supremacy. I mean, that's what they need. That's the entire debate for her, is that. And so if the microphones are on the whole time or off, they can't do that. If they're on, though, they can fabricate. Like Trump could put duct tape over his mouth, and they would like have a Trump supporter who can throw his voice also be like, well, you fucking bitch. Just throw that, start throwing insults. She'd be like, I'm talking, call me a fucking bitch. That's the only, everybody knows that. It's so stupid. But how do you talk about that for 24 hours, 36 straight hours? How do you have panel discussions about that? CNN, I'm sure MSNBC, had like a 40-minute panel discussion about this subject. The mic on, the mic off. Why do they want it on? Why do they want? Oh, what the fuck is going on? Man, I said I was going to try and not be loud, and here I am acting like I'm and screaming, what the F is going on? Not a good house guest. I apologize. Don't bark, dogs. Don't bark. Okay. Let's see what's going on over here in Rockfin. I don't mean to miss any of the comments. I'm sure I will, but I don't mean to. My voice is hoarse because I did a film this weekend and I played a heckler and I was screaming all weekend, so my voice sounds a little bit gravelly. So they talked about all of that, and then the other part of the debate they were having is they fabricated the story where it's like Trump says he might not show up to the debate because he says, why should he show up? You know, he doesn't like the rule, you know, he wants it. He doesn't care. He's going to show up for the debate. Okay. Everybody knows it because this is all part of the attention grabbing. You think they're not going to show us a Trump and Kamala debate? I mean, this is a ratings. I mean, this is perfect. Everybody's going to watch that. It's going to get millions of views on YouTube. Of course they're going to have a debate. This is all theater. The media's like, oh, he says he's not going to show up. And despite the fact that what he said makes perfect sense. I hate that you can't even say what happened sometimes, you know, and say that this makes sense without it being, you love Trump. I think Trump is funny. I would rather have a beer. Well, he doesn't drink, but I'd rather hang out and listen to him mock somebody than I would hang out with Kamala. But I'm not voting for him. I've never voted for him. I'm not going to vote in the presidential election because I don't trust it. But people get so polarized even that if you say one thing that points out the truth, people go, oh, you're no, I'm just telling, it's just very reasonable. I'm pointing out that they're destroying reason. They're destroying objective reason. This is brainwashing. Trump said, why would I debate her? Something like this, I'm paraphrasing. She refused to do the Fox debate, I think the CNN debate, a couple other, she refused to do 3 debates. She only agreed to do I think it was, is it ABC or CBS? One of the two. I don't remember which one it is. But I do know that the woman who is moderating the debate she called Trump a racist the other day. She implied that he only went to Michigan because of the KKK. And she's also, a shocker, just like the other one, member of a Divine Nine sorority, just like Kamala Harris. Black Freemasons, that's what they call themselves. So he would be accurate to say that's bias. The moderator just implied he went to Michigan for the KKK, and she's a member of Kamala Harris's Divine Nine. She also is Kamala. But that's very obviously bias. But to those on the left, because of the media they receive, it's racist to point out how biased that is. And the media is the most dangerous thing in this country. I shouldn't say the media, because real journalists, people who do real journalism, are great. They open people's eyes with good research, good coverage, well thought out, and they try. Everybody has some bias, but they do try, and you can tell when people try to not let their bias influence their coverage. What we see in the mainstream media is not news, is not journalism. It's people who are propagandists playing the role of journalist. And I forget that quite often. I'll look at them as news and stuff. They're not news. They're not bad journalists. They're good propagandists is what they are. And they're very good at it. All right. All right, so I want to show you some Meet the Press. Yeah, journalistic integrity is dead if it ever existed at all. Some people have it. So I would say somebody that I think has journalistic integrity that comes to mind is Cheryl Atkinson. Cheryl Atkinson, she was, I think, a CBS journalist, and she was reporting on maybe the Fast and Furious scandal. Is that with Obama a while back? Anyway, the FBI hacked her computer, and she had evidence of it, and she saw them deleting stuff in real time, and there's been some admissions that has proven her right, and she does independent journalism now with her own online news channel, and her work is thorough, and it's harder to get through. It's easy to get through all the dramatic soundbite work because they try and design it that way. Her stuff is thorough, and it's like I need a few minutes to watch this to make sure I can process it, because she's not trying to lie to anybody. She's trying to reveal truth, in my opinion. In my opinion, I like her a lot. There's others too, but that's just one that came to mind. Someone who has a background in journalism and is very good at it. So Meet the Press, which is Meet the Propagandist, is what it really is. J.D. Vance was interviewed on there by a black Freemason, and I want to show you some of the interview for a couple of reasons. One, just to illustrate that the media is so consistent in their retelling of old lies from yesteryear, from years ago, to try and capture the same divisive effect that it had previously in the here and now. And they're bringing back, in this case, an oldie, but a goodie for them. Is from back in 2018, 2017. You might remember this narrative from when Trump was president. It is the narrative of Trump separates children from their mothers at the border, sometimes known as Trump rips babies from their mother's arms narrative and puts them in cages, babies in cages narrative. You guys remember that, right? This is a very, very prominent narrative for a while. Never mind the fact that the cages were built by Obama's administration, or that Obama's administration did the exact same thing first. Never mind all of that. Never mind that many of the children are separated long before they cross the border, because they're crossing the border with cartels and their parents were long separated. Never mind any of the truth of that. Trump was ripping babies from their mother's arms and putting them in solitary confinement cages in a detention center. And this narrative was best illustrated by something you might remember. I'll put that photo. Oh, yeah, here it is. You might remember the Time magazine cover from 2018. This was a classic piece of propaganda right here. Hold on, let me get up on the screen. So there it is. You see it right there. This was the Time magazine cover. And it shows a photo of a 2-year-old Honduran girl crying as she looks up at a border agent who is separating her from her mother. Now, this went viral, and this caused outrage and many, many panel discussions. And it all turned out to be BS. Turned out to be not true. As it turns out, this kid wasn't separated from her mother. But that wasn't learned until well after the propaganda impact had happened. It was a totally bogus story meant to illustrate a totally bogus evil that Trump was uniquely guilty for. That wasn't true. That's what they did with him a lot, is they would say that Trump was doing something that all politicians have been doing for years and years, but people just weren't aware of. But then they would act like Trump doing the same thing was some sort of unique, never before done evil. None of this was true. But it was a Time magazine cover. Well, they're bringing this back. Not this example, but they're bringing back the Trump is evil, Vance is evil, because they're taking the children away. They're ripping them away from their parents at the border. And this was illustrated perfectly. Like, you could see this is in full effect. during this interview on Meet the Press on Friday, I don't like J.D. Vance. I'm not a J.D. Vance fan at all. He's pretty good in these interviews. I'll give him that. But I'm not a fan of the guy. I don't trust him. I mean, I don't trust any of them, but I don't trust him at all. But he's good at media, which untrustworthy people often are. But the journalist asked him 3 times. It was over a 10-minute span. She kept demanding that he answer a question about if Trump is going to be separating children from their families. And she did not like the answers that she got from him. Like, she was trying to get a specific response for a soundbite. He did a good job of not giving it to her, and he kind of turned it around on her pretty good. And so I want to show you that they're bringing that narrative back, and I want to show you then what she did afterwards, after J.D. Vance was no longer there to respond. Here's the first clip of the Black Freemason trying to force J.D. Vance to say that Trump is going to separate children from the border. You know, Kamala's not. You know, Kamala would never do that. Look at, Elizabeth Warren there. There's a hot Native American right there on screen.
To this question, because so many...
hold on, it's this sound. Why is there this sound there? Could you guys hear that in the chats? Why couldn't I hear that?
People want to know.
Hold on, that might just, you guys might be able to hear it. It might be my headphones. This is so frustrating. Sorry. No, that's not what we're doing. Hold on one second. I want to make sure I want to get the sound right. I need to make sure I can hear this. Check.
Know the answer to this.
Yeah, I think I should hear that. Why can't I hear this? It's ridiculous.
Will families be...
You can't hear that, Noble? All right, I'll play it and I'll try to figure out what's going on with my audio in the meantime. What the heck is going on with this?
Separated under your mass deportation policy?
I think that families are currently being separated, and you're certainly going to have to deport some people in this country. Now, I think you
So
start
that's a yes?
with I
So
think
you can't
you
hear
start with the most violent criminals in our country. Those people need to be deported. That's where you focus federal resources. I think you, of course, have a number of children who are currently living with drug cartel members, not actually their families. We need to, of course, find their families and get them back to their families. But it's very interesting here, because what Kamala Harris says is that Donald Trump wants to separate families. Kamala Harris's policies have led to thousands upon thousands of migrant children living with sex traffickers and drug cartels.
Well,
that is the consequence of her policies.
But there's not
Some
a
of them are
policy
even
to
missing.
Separate families. There's not a policy to separate families.
The question if you know that your policies will lead to family separation, you don't get to claim. Kristen, this is important.
Wait, hold on.
Kamala Harris cannot claim that she doesn't know that her policies are leading to family separation. They are, and everybody knows it, and she has to take responsibility for that. That's what real leadership is.
There are some families who have been separated, as you say, some because their parents are criminals. But of course, under the Trump administration, there was a zero tolerance policy, which is an actual policy. But let's move on.
No, please,
because we're running out of time.
Kristen, because this is so important.
We are running out of time.
There was a zero, I'll give you more time. There was a zero tolerance policy during the Trump administration, and that led to less family separation than under Kamala Harris's border policies. That's what's so striking about this. Actually enforcing our border is the most humane thing for children and certainly for American citizens.
But I don't hear you denying that families will be separated. Let's move on to something that Donald Trump said in North Carolina and yet again Friday night.
You're denying that. That's what it is. I mean, I don't know why I can't hear that. Yeah, she is a typical prostitute. You're right. She interviewed Trump a while ago. She's in the back. She's in that same group. The media's even talking about how the Divine Nine is supporting Kamala. They got her back right now. I should figure that out. Well, that didn't work. So you saw the way she pressed that. That was the third time she'd done that. And when he didn't give her what she wanted, he kind of put it back on her. She wanted to talk about it, but then when he was like, no, let's keep talking, she was trying to end it, move to the next subject. Well, I want to show you what she did after the show ended. So Vance didn't give her the soundbite she wanted. But what she did was this. Hold on, I'm gonna check my audio settings down here, make sure I got this going right. Sound output should be working. For some reason it's not. I don't know. I have no idea why. Maybe this is why. Is it muted? Doesn't appear to be. Does not appear to be muted. This is pissing me off, man. All right, I'm just going to play it for you guys. I'll have to watch the captions. Here she is when J.D. Vance was no longer there. She gave a message to clarify things about what J.D. Vance said after he was gone. All right. I'm up in the morning, Cobalt. Good to see you too. Here she is. Yeah, this is when J.D. Vance is no longer able to respond.
His claim about family separation. The numbers show the Trump administration separated more than 5,500 families, most of them under that zero tolerance policy. The Department of Homeland Security says currently up to 1,000 children are separated from their families. The Trump administration had a policy to systematically separate families. The Biden administration only does so under extraordinary circumstances, like if the parent has a criminal record. And we should also note that when Senator Vance talked about flying migrants into the U.S., he was referencing a policy that allows migrants from a select group of countries to fly into the U.S. legally only if they have a sponsor here in the United States. That program is currently on pause. And coming up, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren joins me next.
You notice how she did that? I mean, that bullshit chicken shit move right there. She's debating with a guy the whole time. He counters her debate. She tries to force him to say one thing, tries to force a specific frame about that story onto her audience. And he doesn't let her do it. And so she cheats. She says, all right, well, now that he's gone, I'm going to say, here's what it's supposed to be like, where he can't combat it. That's chicken shit. They cheat. I mean, that's someone who got defeated in an argument or a discussion, or not even defeated. Like, it shouldn't be a competition. It should be people trying to get to the truth as much as possible. Do I not sound clear, Noble? So maybe there's something going on with my audio altogether right now. Can you guys hear me right now? I apologize about this. Yeah, but it's static. Okay. I'm going to try something real quick and hope it doesn't mess the whole thing up. And check. All right. System output. Road connect. No, I don't think that's what I want that to be. I think that might be why I could hear that. So you guys can still hear me, correct? Check 1, 2. Okay, now all right, now I can hear it. I might still be static, but now at least I can hear it. All right. I apologize about that. It's difficult in a new place to get everything working correctly. You see, you set it up in your studio, and then you just leave it. And you hope something doesn't go wrong. So when you got to set up again somewhere else, it can be kind of a pain sometimes. So that's the first thing they're bringing back is a child separation to make Trump look like he's just a horrible, horrible person. Even though it's not much different than what Obama and what Bush did and what all of them do, what Biden does. Then they went on to talk about the abortion subject, which has been the main thing they focused on throughout the entire DNC. They just lied. Trump 2025 or Project 2025 is Trump's. Trump's going to make abortion. He's going to ban it nationally. He's going to carve every woman's womb out himself, stuff him in his freezer like he's RFK Jr. or something like that, cutting a dolphin's head off. Maybe wear him around his neck like their ears, and he's a Vietnam vet. They just tell a bunch of people, despite the fact that Trump has said a number of times that abortion should be left to the states. And during the interview, she was pressing Vance on what if Trump was presented with an imaginary national ban on abortion? Do you think that he would? What would he do? And Vance said he thinks he would veto it. Maybe people think he's lying. That's fine, but they're not saying that. They're just saying that he's not going to that he's going to ban abortion nationwide, despite what he said. How many times do you have to say, "I'm not going to ban abortion nationwide. It should be left to the states," before people stop saying, "You're going to ban abortion nationwide, aren't you?" I mean, how long does that have to happen? And this was a narrative that they hit real hard during all of the morning shows. And I'm not going to show you that back and forth between them, but I'm going to show you the panel discussion they had about it afterwards, when there was nobody there to respond. Is it because of the audio? Shoot. Check. I don't know why the audio is bad. I apologize. I'm going to see if I can get it a little bit better. If not, I'm just going to end the show. It keeps cutting out. That's what it's doing. Why is it cutting out? Check 1, 2. Check. It's a streaming issue, like the audio pauses and then ramps up and resyncs. So the TV sounded fine. It's just this wireless me audio. Okay. That should work good. It usually works good. I don't know why it's not working good. Okay, well, I'm going to end the show here then. If I can't get the audio right, then if you guys can't hear it right, there's no need continuing. I apologize. Thanks for the feedback, guys. And I will be back in my studio this evening, and we'll have my regular setup. And I'll figure out what happened here so this doesn't happen again. Sorry, guys. Audio difficulties. Nevertheless, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Thanks for letting me know there was audio problems, because I do appreciate that. Come back at 8:30. There will not be audio problems like this. There will be XLR microphones and a setup that works. So we'll do it again later with better audio. We'll talk to you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.